How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in one convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast gems.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac extra value meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by The Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
It's Pack Your Knives. I'm Kevin Arnovitz.
And I'm Tom Haberstroh.
Tom, we have an episode of Top Chef Season 16 in the books.
Yes.
A lot to discuss.
Yes.
The framework of the season, the venue, the location, the themes. And by the way, I think the headline coming out of episode 1, whether you've seen it or not, dear listener, is a lot of good food. The judges were just rosy in their praise. Wasn't really a bad dish, to be seen in either channel.
It was, as far as the first episodes go, it's got to be one of the best ever in terms of the production, the execution of the dishes. Like, there wasn't one where you watch them make it, either the quick fire or the elimination challenge. You go, oh, that one is definitely going home. I thought this was top to bottom as strong of an episode, like out of the gate. Not to use a Kentucky Derby reference. Tom Colicchio already covered all that. But I thought this was an excellent episode, and I feel like we're well on our way to an excellent season.
All right, so let's just lay out for listeners what we know. The show this season started with 15 contestants. That's different than past seasons. Sometimes they've had this battle royale at the beginning to get it down to 16. Sometimes they brought in former contestants. This is just 15 new contestants who are essentially in 5 teams of 3. Tom, we're going to draft as we did last season in a few minutes.
I can't
wait. We
are
going to, among the, 14 survivors of the 15, the show's already lost 1, though we are getting 3 returning last chance. I'm going to let you deal with those technicalities, but we're going to draft those 14 contestants based on a similar but refined template that you drew up last season. Do you want to review what happened last season, just in terms of the competition between me and you? Let's setting aside the actual the chefs. Let's focus on what's really important, which is you and me.
Yeah, you and me.
So
this is
summarize what
important.
happened last season.
We drafted. I had the first pick. We watched after the first episode. We drafted, and I did some stats, and I felt like Tyler Anderson was the number 1 pick because I did some research, and 43% of the actual Top Chef winners also won the first elimination challenge. So I went with Tyler, and the way the draft worked is that you then, Kevin, in a snake draft, you get the next 2 picks, and then I get the next 2 picks, and we went so on and so forth, and we actually drafted Last Chance Kitchen contestants, even though they weren't getting any points in our scoring system, which I think we need to fix this year. But we drafted our teams last year, including the Last Chance Kitchen. But what was interesting is we had a trade mid-season. We discussed at episode 6, right before we had Claudette Zepeda-Wilkins onto the show as an interview. I traded her after much discussion in that episode. I traded her to you for the rights to Chef Chris Scott. And you also threw in a little wrinkle that has an effect on this draft that we're about to do. You said, I will give you Chris as long as we pick swap next year for your 5th selection. I get it, and I will give you my 5th selection. So essentially you're going to move up 2 spots, and I'm going to move down 2 spots in the middle of the draft. So how it worked out was I won after a slow start. I actually won the fantasy. Everyone, applause. Thank you. I think, what was the score? I have it down here somewhere. I think I won by like 50 points or something like that. And it didn't start out that way. It started out, Kevin, you were running away with this thing, but Carrie came on strong, and she's actually going to be in the Last Chance Kitchen this year. And I ended up winning. So what that does is that gives us an option. I think I'm going to take the first pick this season, and then you're going to get the next 2 picks. And the way it works out with the trade from last year is that you're actually going to get picks 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. And now I'm kind of jealous.
I have helped my lot.
You have?
Except there's one problem with that theory, which is, Tom, what was the correlation between our drafting and the success of our draft choices last year?
You might as well have been blindfolded and throwing at a dartboard.
Right. So basically, we have absolutely no skill in this exercise that we're going to commit our listeners to for the better part of 40 minutes. It's completely for
entertainment purposes. And right. I feel like after watching this episode, I feel like I got a pretty good grasp of like how this is going to play out. But I have to remind myself, last year, the top 4 people in the competition, that was Carrie, Joe Stash, Joe Flam, and Adrian. None of them, Kevin, were top 5 picks after one episode last year. In our draft, we were like, we could do without those 4, and they ended up being the final 4.
So rather than recap, just go through the episode as we often do, let's just get into the draft. And because I think by virtue of making our selections, we're going to we can break down the episode that way. I mean, listeners know, they've probably watched, they saw what happened. We are now going to choose our picks. And you have the first pick as by winning last season's fantasy Top Chef 2-person head-to-head, you get the first pick in the draft. So, Tom, with the first pick in the Top Chef 16 draft, who are you selecting?
Well, let's back up here a second, because I do want to just go over the point system for those scoring at home. If you want to do this first, if you want to do this at home, play along. A lot of listeners last year played along, and it was super fun. And what I realized last year, Kevin, is we didn't really have not a participation trophy, or like we weren't giving handouts to the people that didn't finish in the top 3 or bottom 3, but I feel like we should be giving them something. And so this year, I think we're flattening out the scoring system a little bit, so it's not so high highs and low lows. We're kind of making things a little bit flatter here. So if you win the elimination challenge, you're going to come up with 10 points total, because the top 3 get 5 points in the elimination challenge, and then you get a 5-point bonus for winning the elimination challenge. So the winner gets 10. The top 3 each get 5. So 5 to the elimination winner, and then you get the 5 bonus. And then in the middle of the pack, so you don't finish in the bottom 3 or the top 3, you're going to get +2 for the middle of the pack survivors. Then if you finish in the bottom 3, last year we gave you, we took some points away for you, but that kind of felt mean because you actually did well, so you actually got through to the next round. So in this edition, this year, we're going to give you 0 points. We're not going to cost you any points. We're not going to take away any points. The penalty is that you do not get any points and you do not lose any points. But if you lose, and you go to Last Chance Kitchen, -5. So to recap, Elimination Challenge, +5 for being in the top 3, +5 for being the winner, +2 for middle of the pack, 0 for the bottom 3, -5 for the loser, and that loser goes to Last Chance Kitchen. Now, you also have the Quickfire Challenge. Last year, you lost points for being in the bottom 3 in the Quickfire, but this year, we're actually just going to say 0 again for being in the bottom 3. You can only add to your score, so they're bonuses, Quickfire bonuses. If you're in the top 3, you get +1, and if you get the winner, you get an additional 2 points. So if you win the Quickfire, you're going to get a total of 3 points. So,
now this is an interesting refinement. In the Tom Haberstroh sort of mindset, you don't put a huge amount of credence in Quickfire. You're not all that impressed.
You know what? I'm kind of swayed by Tyler. Last year,
you're not impressed.
So I think they deserve points. I think if you win the Quickfire Challenge, you deserve 3 points. I think that's fair. It's more than just being a middle of the pack survivor in the Elimination Challenge, but I do think that it seems.
But actually, it's exactly the same. It's winning a Quickfire is the same point allocation as. But
no, you get 3 points total for the Quickfire winner. You get 3 points total.
Oh, and a bonus. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So if you win the Quickfire, you're going to get 3 total points. So actually, if you win both the Quickfire and the Elimination Challenge, you could come away with 13 points. So the high end, you're going to get 13 points if you win both the Quickfire and the Elimination Challenge. But there is no cost this year, Kevin. There's no cost to finishing in the bottom 3. It's just that you don't get any bonuses. You don't get any points, which we'll see how it plays out. At some point, I'll probably retroactively score last season just to see how things would change. But also this year, a little tweak, we are going to award Last Chance Kitchen 1 point for surviving and moving on in Last Chance Kitchen. You are going to get a -1 if you lose and you're out of the competition. So you get -5 if you're eliminated. And then if you get eliminated again in Last Chance Kitchen, you get a -1. So
got you.
The last thing that we have to do for the scoring is 50 points for the winner. You got Joe Flam. You drafted Joe Flam, I think, with a 6th pick last year. He won the whole thing, but it wasn't enough to close the gap last year. Joe Sasto and Carey, my picks, were huge for me. So with that all said, with all the clearing of the throats and all the minutia, the CBA minutia, Kevin, let's get to the draft.
Yes, let's get to the draft. I'm very excited.
Okay. Now, give me I want you to be Adam Silver and give, or David. If you want to go David Stern, his tone.
Yes. No. It's absolutely David Stern.
Okay. Go for it. All right.
Well, aren't you the first pick?
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. Ready.
You're David Stern. I mean, you're not as good at being an old Jew as I am, but like, you got to do the David Stern voice.
Okay. With the first pick of the 2018.
No, you sound like the politician in The Simpsons.
Okay. Hold on. I'm just gonna go with my own voice because I'm getting all caught up now. Okay. All right, ready? Now I'm nervous. With the first pick of the season 2 Pack Your Knives draft, Team Tom is selecting Natalie Moransky. Natalie Moransky. Sorry, I mispronounced her last name.
And you must, and I think the listeners who know why you're doing this, but you want to aside from the fact that she seems like a fantastic chef, there is one overriding reason she is now on your team.
43%. I should say it's probably about 40% after what happened last year in Tyler Anderson, who came out of the gates with winning the Elimination Challenge. He actually sputtered pretty soon after that and was eliminated. However, Kevin, 40% of Top Chef winners won the first Elimination Challenge. And it actually is, I believe, the most predictive of the first 5 or 6 rounds, episodes of Top Chef. You want to win the first one, Kevin. And this time, Natalie, I wasn't so confident coming out of the gate here in the first episode, but man, she nailed the crudo right out of the gate. I think this is important. If you are someone who's going to have a Peruvian background and exceptional at making crudo or ceviche, you're going to go very far in this competition. So not only did Natalie, after a 10-month layoff, she seemed a little nervous at first. She wins the Elimination Challenge. I feel like this is a strong number one pick because not only is she got the 10 points, which she would have won if we were counting this. Not only did she win the first elimination challenge, Kevin, but I feel like her strengths with the crudo and the ceviche, Peruvian cuisine where she worked before, I feel like this is a strong pick.
What was very interesting, and I just want to talk about this dish because it was brilliant, is she did the crudo as a laksa, okay? And in laksa is a Southeast Asian I had some of the best laksa of my life at Borneo Kalimantan Cuisine in Alhambra, California, about 3 weeks ago. Just a kind of a beautiful, savory, coconutty Southeast Asian stew. So what she did essentially was she combined, as you said, her knowledge and technical expertise at ceviche, but kind of did it with the Borneo, Indonesian, Malaysian, wherever you want to situate laksa. Flavor profiles. She confits potatoes with it. It's an absolutely brilliant, gorgeous looking dish. So I'm with you. I think there's reason enough to draft Natalie, not just because probability dictates that she's your best bet going forward, but I love the sheer imagination. I love the flavor profiles. Laksa, I mean, like ceviche as laksa, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Well, Kevin, so I think this is another note on her is that I've nicknamed everybody on this episode because it helps me remember who they are. Because it's hard after watching one episode, it's hard to keep everyone straight, put faces to names. But I've nicknamed her Redemption Natalie. Okay, she had a breakup recently. She broke up with her boyfriend, I'm assuming boyfriend, and this ex, she says, was a Top Chef fan, and she says, I won the breakup. So Natalie, good for you. I appreciate that. She's got a chip on her shoulder, and she's ready to kick some ass. So, Kevin, I'm sipping some bourbon here. As part of
11:30 Eastern.
Well, Kevin, we're recording this after the first episode.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we're recording our bourbon themed season, and I'm going to take my first sip of Basil Hayden's after my first selection. Kevin, you're up 2 and 3.
This is very difficult, and it's just a matter of kind of setting it up. I have 3 contestants I would like to choose,
okay.
and I'm going to choose between the 2 of them. But with the second overall pick in the 2018 season 16 draft, Team Kevin selects Eddie Conrad of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Wow. This is a Laurel pick, right? This is the Nick Elmy protege pick, right?
Well, I mean, look, I think there are a couple of considerations. The first is pedigree does matter, and I think we've seen in the past that it does. I think he's technically able, and I think we saw that in both his quick fire and his elimination challenge. He's the kind of guy that I don't know that he's going to win this season, but I think he is as likely to be in the Final Four as anyone in the field, including Natalie, including the other folks who showed well last night. I just think there's a competence about his presence, his chefness that doesn't matter. He did one of the 2 scallop crudos. And by the way, the fact that he didn't win, for all we know, he had the second best dish on the night because he finished second only to Natalie.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know, like
yes.
So we're thinking of, he didn't finish in the top 5. No, actually, I don't know that. I mean, I think there's a very good chance that Eddie had the second best dish it just happened to be in the same division
bracket,
as Natalie. So I just feel really comfortable. This is a guy who's not going to be eliminated until the All-Star break. Like, it's just not. Like, he's just not going away. And maybe you could have said that about Tyler, but I just think there's a technical. He's both smart, but there's a restraint. It's just he's not going anywhere. I'm gonna be racking up points with this horse for several weeks here.
I like your pun there. Now, Kevin, last year you drafted Chef 2, David 2.
Yeah. I think I was just drawn into the whole, like, his family owned a fish sauce company.
Yeah, but my thing is, Kevin, it didn't work out so well, and I'm wondering if there's a little. Here's why I'm nervous about Eddie, and I had him a little bit lower on my board. I nicknamed him Antsy Eddie. He seemed a little nervous. Nervous.
That's intensity. That was intensity. That was just
I just didn't know if he was cut for this, Kevin.
The guy is focused.
Okay.
All right. I have a very difficult decision to make here for number 2.
Well, your second pick, but
and I have my draft board, and I'm actually. This would be the 3rd overall pick, just if you're still keeping score at home, and my second pick. I'm gonna go with the 3rd pick, Pablo Lamon of Miami, Florida.
Ooh, there could be a trade coming up. Man, that's a good pick.
Just to review for our listeners, he is originally from Buenos Aires. He did the tilapia crudo with green apple vinaigrette, the sweet potato bourbon puree, and the togarashi chips, a dish that made it into the top 3 at the winners of the judges table last night. And just seems to be a really capable chef. Is going to have a true identity, knows who he is as a chef. And I kind of like his presence. This was a very tough call for me, and I will reveal just the other consideration once he gets drafted. But I'm very comfortable with this.
Okay. Well, I'm really jealous. The 27 restaurant at the Broken Shaker. If you're going to Miami and you don't want to pay top, prices for the Ritz or the One Hotel. Like, I would go at the hostel base. It's a nice hotel, but the Broken Shaker and 27 restaurant right there, kind of up a little bit on the beach. Fantastic place. The Freehand. That's where Pablo does his work. He was fantastic in this episode. He's worked under, you talk about pedigree, Kevin. These 2 picks by you are all about pedigree because he worked with Jeremy Ford, also Crudo Bros. So that is a strong pick, Pablo. I call him Pablo Messi, not just because of Lionel Messi, the Argentine soccer player, but because he did mention, and I thought this was going to be a huge point for you, that his cutting board was too messy.
No, but he was bothered by it.
Exactly. He was bothered by how messy it was, and I thought, ooh, Kevin's going to really like that, and I think he's going to draft him.
Got to keep your station clean. Got to keep your clean as you go. Got to clean as you go.
Okay.
Cook in the kitchen.
With the 4th pick in the 2018-19 Pack Your Knives Season 2 draft, Team Tom selects Nene Wynn.
Interesting.
Ooh, you don't like it?
Very interesting. No. I was really impressed. I think it takes a lot of mock. A charred cabbage salad with some blackened catfish and the fish sauce. I love her cooking, by the way. That clear, like this is the chef I want to take home. Just in terms of flavor and it's but so give me your rationale. Okay,
I think Asian chefs, just the flavor profiles, they've done really, really well in Top Chef. Historically, they have performed super, super well in Top Chef, and I feel like she's got not just the pink jumpsuit going for her, but I really enjoy the story, the fact that she worked in New Orleans. I feel like that's a point, or she's from New Orleans. I feel like the cuisine there is going to really how ubiquitous it is, how you can do so many different things, whether it's fish. Her parents moved to New Orleans because they love to fish, and I feel like in Top Chef that's going to be a huge advantage for her. I like her personality. I feel like she has a really good IG handle. It's I Dream of Nene, which is, I like it. It's fantastic. I like everything about Nene. She was number 2 on my big board. I thought you were going to decide between Pablo and Nene, and so I was a little nervous that you'd go and take her off the board. But I got Nene for my number 4 pick. And number 5, I am going with Justin.
Interesting again.
So Justin, he's won Iron Chef America, so he's already good at.
Yeah, he's a good competition. Yeah, I saw that too.
He's not very good at math. However, did you pick up on Justin's math in this episode?
Well, just a review. He did the coconut shrimp and grits, which was just looked scrumptious. What was the math issue?
He said he's 60% bourbon, 20% pot, and 40% fried food.
Well,
that doesn't work.
99% of the game is mental, and when the other half is whatever.
It's physical,
right?
Yeah. That's the Yogi quote, right?
His has 120%. He's Mr. 120% here.
You might think, Kevin, me being a numbers guy, that I would actually ding him points for not doing the math correct like that. But I do see in the quote he said about 60%, about 20% pot. So I think it's just fudging the numbers a little bit. You can get to 100%, but Justin seems really strong. I loved his dish. I love coconut flavor. So whether it's coconut water or coconut dessert, whatever it is, like coconut donuts. Like when I was a kid, I loved the coconut donut. But I appreciate someone who's able to edit it down so it's not too sweet in the shrimp and grits dish. I thought he was really strong, and also got an extra point for being on the winning team in the quickfire challenge. So I feel like he's a strong personality, and I also like his cuisine. He actually did a really, really good job in this episode. So I might be a little biased because he's got the math thing going, because he won both the elimination challenge, or he was in the top 3 and eliminate. No, he wasn't in top 3, but he did do well in quickfire. So he is the third member of my team: Natalie, Nene, and then Justin.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick, and I think, and it's something we talked about with Tyler a little bit last year, the fact that he has experience in a competition show. Mm-hmm. To me, to the extent that this is a skill, right? Like we're not finding the best chef in America. We're finding the chefs in America who are both talented and have the capacity to do this very odd thing, which is just execute with these weird limitations and the bright lights and all the other bullshit that goes with being on a competition show. So I really like that pick for you. I now have, and we'll explain to our listeners when I come up to the number 8th overall pick why I have 3 in a row here. But let's just take my current, the number 6 overall pick, and the third for me is Michelle Minori.
Yep.
So in our preview, I kind of scouted her as the contestant that would make pasta at every turn.
Yep.
She was at Flour and Water in San Francisco, and sure enough, these chefs pretty much had a free spot. I mean, I thought the premiere episode was very interesting to me in the elimination challenge, insofar as, other than, okay, this is something you need to make. You need to be able to make it scale because there are 200 diners. It was a warm weather event and during the daytime, so there was going to be, I think, a predisposition to the crudos and whatnot. It was pretty much a freeze up. This is a wonderful way, Tom, to kind of see you have Whole Foods to yourself. You can make anything you want. This is the recipe you brought from home that you knew that the first opportunity you had to do something, at this scale you would do. What do you choose? And she chose to do an absolutely fantastic carrot top tagliatelle. But it wasn't even just the carrot top tagliatelle, which looked gorgeous. It was the sort of the fun flavor she paired with that braised chicken. Sumac, Burberry, which is like an Ethiopian spice that has some heat, and orange. I just absolutely, like, that was a pasta. And I'm as a gay man in Los Angeles, as a rule, I only have like pasta twice a year because carbohydrates are terrible, and I'm always concerned about my carb intake.
But straight guys aren't worried about their carb intake?
You do not put a carbohydrate in front of a gay man in Los Angeles. Like, no. Like, that's kryptonite. But this was a pasta I could get behind. And I think she is going to be the pasta at every turn. And by the way, those contestants tend to do well. Like pasta, people like pasta. It demonstrates technical skill. You can put anything inside a pasta you want to put inside. It basically gives you a lovely canvas. The presentation is always gorgeous. I mean, pasta presents very well.
Yes.
And so I just think she is going. I think she's going to be a force in this show.
I think you're also. I think you're missing the LA chef here, so I think you're going with a California chef. I think I think there's a little bias there, and I think you should do that. Is pay homage to your roots there in LA. You don't have an LA chef, so you got to go.
We do not have an LA chef on the board.
California. Shout out to California and Michelle Minori.
With the 7th overall pick in the draft, I'm going to take David Viana.
Wow.
Not without reservation. Okay? Mm-hmm. Clearly, this very talented chef who's been Beard nominated is an absolute space cadet. Okay? He forgets the flour. He's in line. And the guy at Whole Foods has a sign on his back that says, "Forgot something? I can go get it for you." Which, weren't you expecting that to happen?
Yes.
So he gets – all right, so just a review for our listeners. It's one of those kind of battle royales. You go into the Whole Foods. The clock is going. Just go grab everything off the aisles you need. You get in line. You have a budget, whatever. He's going to make gnocchi and gets to the line and realizes he didn't bring flour. Now, by the way, Tom Colicchio asks a very good question, is do you need flour to make gnocchi? And he did it in the most Confucian sort of way. Like, yes. Like it was like Yoda there. Like, oh, but you need flour to make gnocchi. And David just says, screw it. I guess I'm just screwed, even though the Whole Foods apron of that particular store in Louisville says, hey, forgot something? I can go get it for you. Which always pisses off everybody else in line. It happened to me the other day at Smart and Final where anyway, so he's now stuck in making basically potato soup. Like
when life hands you lemons, right, Kevin?
Yes. When Whole Foods hands you potatoes, make potato soup. But he pulls it off. It's umami in a bowl. He makes a porcini and potato soup that absolutely wowed Tom Colicchio, who said, I have no idea what I'm eating, but it is wonderful. Now, the misgiving is not so much that. My misgiving is the number one rule of Top Chef, and I think the number one reason, particularly in the later rounds, that people get eliminated, Tom, why? They don't cook the protein correctly. Mm-hmm. And in the quick fire challenge, his team decided to do rabbit, and he was in charge of he was in charge of actually executing in the rabbit and put the lid on the pan. The other teammates kind of anticipated early on this was a bad move. It would get overcooked. Sure enough, the rabbit was overcooked. So anybody who can't I have misgivings about a contestant that just might not be able to nail. I mean, look what Adrienne was able to accomplish last season. Even as she was struggling with seasoning, Tom, every time out, the fish, the meat, whatever it was she was doing was executed perfect. She couldn't get sent home. When you just nail the piece of meat, even if it's a little undersalted, even if you maybe screwed up some other component. And I just feel like the ability to nail the protein is essential. And he's already demonstrated a lack of perfection in that event. But I still like him. I mean, if you can make potato soup a winner,
oh man,
you got some serious game. So I take him.
I got to tip my cap to the production, the editing of this episode, because I thought it was a disaster. When they were showing
not the production, you mean David Viana's?
Yeah, David Viana's dish.
Okay, yeah.
The way that they showed Tom Colicchio and the music, it just shut off, and it was like, he bombed. He bombed.
He's done. We all thought he was done.
Like when Tom Colicchio opened his mouth and said the words, "I don't know what I'm eating," I thought he's done. Goodbye. See it, David. Don't go back to Elizabeth, New Jersey, because it's going to be in shame. Tom Colicchio is going to destroy your dish, and you should never meet your heroes, and it's going to be a sad ending for you, David. Right. And it turned around completely, and I did not see that coming.
It's potato soup. I mean, to put potato soup into context, I went to a very Orthodox Jewish day school in Atlanta, Georgia, right? So it was a school run by rabbis and very religious people. And Holocaust Remembrance Day was always you'd walk into school, there were no lights on. The entire school was lit by candle. It was a very serious day. And as a young person, young Jewish kid, it was just it was as austere an environment as you could encounter. And the entire day was dedicated to just sort of really, understanding just the magnitude and terror of the 30s and 40s in Germany. And for lunch, we would get this watery potato soup. And so, I mean, potato soup is honestly the least appetizing food in the world.
It's bland
it's what
as
they
it
give
gets.
to political prisoners, right? It's what you give to political prisoners. And he comes out and makes it umami. That's talent.
That is super talent. And I was wondering, Kevin, you were wondering where the hell is this story going? No, just like think about what David pulled off was he not only screwed up the flour thing, but also he cooks a dish that's sitting at home. Kevin Arnovitz, the first thing that he thinks of with that dish, the potato soup, is the Holocaust.
It's genocide, right?
Genocide.
Meanwhile, I'm just imagining like those rabbis here when I start going on about the pork belly later on. Like now I'm just like, there's all sorts of crazy latent guilt issues with this whole broadcast. All right, so Tom, do you want to explain why it is that I now have a third consecutive pick?
Yeah, this was something
you already did a little bit, but yeah.
This is not what I foresaw. I actually went back to last season's episode 6 because I remember we made a trade and I had a hint, a whiff, a thought that there might have been a pick swap in that trade that we did for Chris for Claudette, and we had Claudette after we made the trade, and I had to shamefully explain to her that I traded her, and I actually thought that she was not a good value going forward, and it was awkward, but she was a great sport about it, and you should go check out her restaurant, Hardin, in San Diego. But Kevin, there was a pick swap where you decided in season 17 Top Chef that we would do a pick swap, and I said no, we can do it for season 16, not knowing that this would happen. This day would come. Today I am reaping what I have sown. I gave you the 8th pick, essentially. I was supposed to get that pick, but now I give it to you as part of a pick swap. My 4th selection was going to turn into yours, and I would swap with your 5th selection. So this is why you are getting a 3rd straight pick, and now I'm super jealous because I feel like I know who you're going to pick here, and I think it's going to be my next one. So you go your 8th pick in the season 2 Pack Your Knives draft.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered. With 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with a cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
This episode is brought to you by 20th Century Studios' new film, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, starring Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White and Academy Award nominee Jeremy Strong. Scott Cooper, the director of the Academy Award-winning movie Crazy Heart, brings you the story of the most pivotal chapter in the life of an icon. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Only in theaters October 24th. Get your tickets now.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the Dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
I'm going with Eric Ajapong.
Sexy Eric. Yeah, sexy Eric. All right. So he's the top finalist for one of the sexiest chefs in America. By
the way, not why I'm choosing him, and I'm going to get into why I'm choosing him.
I'm just saying in my notes, that is how I knew him going into this season, is that he was that was on his notes, on his bio for me, was that he is one of the most attractive chefs in America. I don't know if that makes him a good chef, but it definitely makes him easy on the eyes. So you go with your 8th pick, Eric Ajapong.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best looking scallop crudos I've seen in a long time. And I think you and I both, I think to me, raw scallops are one of the greatest. Next to uni is one of my favorite foods in the world. It was very ambitious. He's a Ghanaian American chef. I have a very soft spot for Ghana. I spent 3 weeks there in 2007, trekking around, going, along the coast up to Kumasi, trekking, Mountain Afaja, going up to Hohoi. I mean, way up in the north. Learned a lot about West African cuisine. Hung out on Lake Volta in a hammock for 3 days. Just what a beautiful country, and a fun place to eat. I mean, there's so much. I'm excited that we're gonna have banku. We're gonna have jollof rice. We're gonna have fufu. I know Eric's sitting on some red, some deconstructed red, which is like a lovely stew with like black-eyed peas and some fish. I like it thicker than thinner, and I'm hoping Eric goes far, because I just a tapestry of Ghanaian cooking would be lovely for this show. So I'm very excited. That was just a great trip too. And just kind of trekking around for 3 weeks in Ghana, and was super cool. Although it just poured at Cape Coast for like 3 days. I was sitting inside of a hut, doing nothing but reading.
I'm kind of bummed out here, Kevin, because I could have sensed some arbitrage opportunities here. If I had taken Eric earlier, I might have been able to trade and gotten some really nice trade package for him.
You probably could have, because he's a guy I want on my team. I mean, by the way, can we just talk about the depth of this? Just obviously, we're basing this purely on one episode, but we're down to the 8th pick, and this is a guy who I think's got game to go. I mean, he executed both events completely flawlessly, and I'm picking him 8th.
I know.
It's anyway. So that's the story. You now have, get me up to date. You got 9, but then I come back.
I got 9 and 10 because we swapped picks.
Oh, we swapped. We did a pick swap.
Right.
That's
so
right.
You were supposed to get 10, and I was supposed to get 8, but we swapped those positions. So you get 3 in a row.
By the way, Eric is now officially the first chef who is tweeted at the Pack Your Knives account.
Hey, Bonus points for Eric.
So Eric, if you're listening, we invite you on. We want to do a good 30 minutes on Ghanaian cooking and in Ghana in general. So
That's
you are
at Chef Adjepong. I will spell it at ChefAdjepong.
So we want to have an extensive conversation. I'm really excited to have that. And by the way, if I'm in DC, it will not be for the playoffs most likely this season. But when I'm in DC, I definitely want to do a pop-up dinner and gather all my Washingtonian friends. But yeah, this is exciting. I'm very happy to find this gem in the middle of the first round. This is excellent.
Okay, I get it. If you really liked Eric, you would have picked him number 1 overall, okay? Or 2nd overall, okay? You're rubbing it in now because now I feel like I should have picked him a little bit sooner and traded him. All right, fine. With the 9th pick in the 2018-19 Pacquiao Knives draft, I'm taking Brian Young, Big Brian, who could be, not just because he's as big as Joe Flam, he could be the Joe Flam of this season. I like the fact that he takes 30 seconds to. Did he say 30 seconds to butcher a rabbit? How long would it take you, Kevin, to butcher a rabbit?
I mean, I wouldn't have the heart because I'm like somebody who watches animal videos on YouTube. the things that like my peers
so the answer's
don't know
infinity.
about me.
You would not do it. You would not butcher.
I like kittens and bunny rabbits and baby goats are my favorite. This is a thing I have. I'm kind of an animal person, and but rabbit's delicious. So
yes, yeah. Well,
I'd get over it, but yeah.
I feel like he's got the tacit leadership, like the passive leadership, which I like in Top Chef, where he knows the right thing to do, but he doesn't want to rub the person the wrong way. And so with that rabbit dish, he said, "Hey, let's add some herbs into that." Ooh, I don't know if I would, off camera, he said, I wouldn't have put the lid on that because it's going to overcook it. So I feel like he's really sharp on that. It's not just that he's, for someone who's a butcher and charcutier, he is someone that I think can appreciate the herbs and the spices and the flavors beyond just a hunk of meat. So I think Brian, I'm going to take him because I like his, not just his cooking, but his, I know Padma didn't like the brine, but I actually liked his creativity, making basically a pork mint julep. So I like the play there.
The dish is mu ping, right? And if you go all over Thailand, this is basically pork on a stick in Thailand. Tom, if you and I were to trek around Thailand, we would probably consume more mu ping than ever imaginable. Like essentially you're in a world now where a nice pork skewer costs you 60 American cents. And, give me 5 is sort of, and that's a meal. And now the brine, he didn't execute the protein, which would be my one skepticism. Again, he knew how to do it for the quick fire by virtue of who he was teamed with. He didn't get it done by himself. Apparently, the fat wasn't fully rendered and whatever other objections there were. But I like this pick. I think this is exactly the kind of contestant who, didn't really show well in the first episode, but, has just the breadth of knowledge to stick around for a while.
Yeah, he was in the middle. Obviously, he wasn't in the top. He wasn't in the bottom. But I like Brian Young, and I think I'm acknowledging my bias here that I see how big he is, and I see Joe Flam. And so if he was short and super scrawny and he looked like a little a pencil broken in half, I probably wouldn't associate him with being the next Joe Flam. But I'm making the pick for Brian with my 9th pick, and I have the 10th pick here. With the 10th pick, I'm going with Kelsey Clark. Southern Belle Kel.
Interesting.
I like the fact that she's got a really serious pedigree. I like the fact that she's got the Southern thing going for her. I like the dish that she made. She's close with Sarah. Apparently they work together, and she has a smaller ass than Sarah, as Sarah from Paducah, Kentucky.
Yeah. To any sensitive listeners, Tom is just repeating what was stated by one of the women.
Yes. Okay. And I'm not making judgments here. I'm just things that stuck out from the first episode.
No objectification going on.
Exactly. So she is She is my 10th pick, and I just like the Alabama roots. She knows the cuisine, the Southern cuisine. She says literally a little too much for me. Because it reminds me of my sister, the way she says literally after every fifth word. But I think Kelsey is a really strong contestant. She has a pretty great following. And I just think she's going to be someone who's going to be here for a while on the basis of not only is she a good technical chef, but also she knows the cuisine very, very well, the flavors of the South.
Yeah. So I love deviled eggs. I mean, that is the way to my heart. And if it's on a menu, particularly like truffle deviled eggs or some other incarnation of deviled eggs, and in that little small bite section of any menu, like let's bring a couple of those out for the table. Like that is automatic. That said, and I also appreciate that we're getting toward the end of the draft and all the
they're not going to be perfect. Right.
No, not going to be perfect. But I go back to that notion that you can do anything you want. Anything you want. Now, one could argue that deviled eggs is exactly what you want to do for a afternoon Kentucky event, and people love them and they're crowd pleasers. I just, when you go back and look at how each of these other candidates challenge themselves, we're looking at, a charred cabbage shallow with blackened catfish, real proteins on a plate, carrot top tagliatelle with all sorts of flavors, and you're going with deviled eggs. Okay. All right. Yeah. You're going with deviled eggs, and they're good deviled eggs. I just kind of feel like, I don't know. It's not an expression of confidence to me. And but again, I know we're now at the sort of getting toward toward the end. So I have the next pick, or do you have the next pick?
You have the next pick, pick number 11, and then I go because we swap picks. So right. You have pick 11, and I have pick 12.
With the 11th overall pick, I'm going to take Sarah Bradley. A lot of New York training. I think it takes a ton of moxie to open up a farm-to-table restaurant in Paducah, Kentucky. And Tom, let me ask you, if you saw that bourbon-braised pork belly with barbecue-spiced carrots and pickled pecans on a menu, I think Tom Haberstroh would dash to the kitchen.
I'm already regretting my pick. I'm already regretting it.
I mean, come on. I mean, that is some Tom Haberstroh plate right there. I mean, that is, I know she showed, but she was in a tough division. I think it's very likely she had one of the 6 or 7 best dishes. Again, I thought, one thing that's deceptive about that horse race arbitrary group assembly is we're not talking 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, right? Like this is the Western Conference, Eastern Conference situation, right? I that looked like a great dish. And what was the criticism? You didn't sell this brilliant thing you did, which was pickling pecans, well enough. I think she is a sleeping giant, Tom. I was praying that you didn't take her with the next pick, because I wasn't going to take her over Eric or David. And not to toot my own. She could be out next week. Who knows? But I'm very happy with this pick. I think she's a sleeping giant. I think she is not risk averse, which is something that can beat you. And yet, and that plate looked delicious. I mean, come on.
Paducah, Kentucky is a 3-hour drive from Louisville. It is, and by the way, Padma was spot on with the pronunciation of Louisville. It is not Louisville, everyone at home. It is not Louisville. It is Louisville. Okay. My wife is from Louisville, and that is how they pronounce it there in Louisville. So do as the Romans do. Paducah, Kentucky is right on the Ohio River. I feel like I really missed this one, Kevin. I'm already lamenting my pick.
Well, there are transactions that can be executed, my friend. We can negotiate.
Why are you a ghoul from some Disney?
Nobody is
movie?
Untouchable. Everybody has asset value. Nobody is untradeable. Not even Kevin Durant is untradeable.
I love it. So yeah, that is a really strong pick. And man, the pork belly dish that she had, I wrote it down and circled it in my notes, and somehow I oversaw it. You know what? Great pick by you.
So what do you got? You got the next 2.
I'm going to go with Adrian. Adrian, I feel the mortadella, when she walks up to the counter and says the sexy mortadella, I know what she means, because some mortadellas cannot look so pretty, not look so scrumptious, and she goes up there.
Mortadella is one of those things. It takes the librarian glasses off, and all of a sudden shakes its head, and it's like very sexy mortadella.
Exactly. And Adrian, look, if she was next to anyone else other than I won't name him yet because I don't want to taint the draft here. I feel like she got a poor hand. And I think she took it very well. She had to listen to something throughout the episode, and she performed well under pressure. I liked the pasta leanings, and I just realized, Kevin, that I have gotten both the Bostonites, both the Beantown chefs here on my team, and I guess I might be a little biased on that front, being from New England. But I like Chef Adrian. If Brian reminded me of Joe Flam, Adrian has the same name as the runner-up there in Top Chef last year. So
I don't think she has the technical skills, but I hear you.
I'm with Adrian with my number 12 pick.
So there are two ways to look at Adrian, right? One is, hey, look, if she has 15 extra minutes, she is coming out with a beautiful rolled pasta with all these components. I love peas, so I mean that is the way to my heart. So, man, I mean it was that could like 15 minutes or 10 minutes. I don't know how much longer she would have needed to execute. And we're having a completely different conversation about this contestant, right? Like now, the other way to look at it, vis-a-vis the sort of the constraints of Top Chef, is she lacks judgment, right? Like right out of the box, thinking you can not being able to manage time is sort of, as we know, it's the fatal flaw, right? Like you can be the greatest chef in the world. We go back to the Tyler conversation, right? Like, and that she's poor at time management. So I think there's like one of two ways to look at her. And, obviously you're banking on scenario number one, which is, hey, look, I mean, if not for 10 minutes, she might be sitting up there at the judges' table among the winners.
With my 13th pick, Kevin, this is purely because of the entertainment play and that I feel like he's going to be a villain this season and he's going to be around, and he's one of those guys you love to hate. He is the Draymond Green of this competition, where if he's on your team, it's going to be loud and it's going to be boisterous. It's going to be dysfunctional at times, but you know what? It's entertaining. And I think Brandon Rosen, I've nicknamed him Bossy Brandon. The pompadour, I didn't even know what a pompadour was because I don't have any hair. Kevin, you might know what a pompadour is because you're in L.A.
I have no hair, if you've never noticed that as well.
I know, but you being in Los Angeles, I feel like that might be the birthplace of a pompadour. But he had...
Well, definitely in that sort of swingers late 90s revival of the sort of... the swing kind of hipster thing. Yes.
I do not like this guy. He rubs me the wrong way. He is bossy right out of the gate. He says, I don't think that I don't want to be the demanding type. I wrote it down here, but I don't want to be portrayed as the cocky one. Okay. If you need to say you don't want to be portrayed as the cocky one, pretty sure you're the cocky one. Okay. It's like saying no disrespect and then you follow it up with some disrespect. I feel like Bossy Brandon is going to be around. His dish, I think, was executed okay. He was in with Adrian, just in her ear, constantly saying, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can pull it off. You might want to cut it. And I thought, wait a minute. Is this guy using some gamesmanship there? Trying to psych out his opponent there? It didn't work so much because Adrian kind of pulled it off, but I wanted your take, Kevin, on the gamesmanship or the kind of strategy by Brandon trying to get into Adrian's head there.
Right. All right. So first of all, Brandon clearly from a casting standpoint is the designated asshole this season. Looks like a villain in a John Hughes movie. Yes. Well, I mean, you could argue it did pull off. I mean, she was the distant third. And whether or not his
but it wasn't a train wreck. It wasn't a train wreck.
No, it wasn't a train wreck. But to the extent his commentary had any effect on sort of the fettuccine rolled pasta problem, it might have. So I think there's part of that. I mean, here's my issue with Brandon. And I think he probably stunk because we don't like him. I mean, I think, but I'm going to counter that. Like maybe he is the 14th best chef because, I assumed what we were dealing with was a Voltaggio-esque, not villain, but kind of cocky, and that we were going to see something on the plate that in terms of innovation and gastronomy was really interesting. And look, neither you nor I are ever going to kick out of bed a New York strip atop polenta, with chimichurri. But I've been looking at that plate in restaurants for 15 years. All the bravado, for all the, the self-regard, at the end of the day, he towers a New York strip that was probably beautifully roasted. Okay, a little dry heat, probably, whatever. on top of some polenta. It was very 2006. Very 2006. And that's it, right? Like in this Judges, you could see like, hey, there was nothing really outstanding here. It was just what did the local chef say? There was nothing unbelievable about it.
Yeah.
Here we have, like we got Eric doing a Ghanaian accented scallop crudo. We've got Nini coming out with, I'm going to do a charred cabbage salad. To say nothing of what Natalie pulled off, and Pablo and all the rest of it, and meat on top of a creamy polenta on top of some broccolini or whatever the hell it was, right? Like great dish. You and I would have enjoyed it, and we would have forgotten about it the next day.
Yep, and that's why he's the 14th pick or the 13th pick. So I didn't love his creativity there. Like you said, it seemed very safe. Nothing that was outside the box. Right. But that's why he's the 13th pick in my draft.
Yeah. And by the way, it looks also to have enough kind of competence and technical expertise not to get eliminated for 6-7 weeks. So, I predict, it could be one of these situations where, his personality kind of gets everybody turning on him in some sort of group competition. But
where was he on your big board of 18?
On my big board of 15?
Well, we're going to do 18 because we have Last Chance Kitchen.
But including that, I'll tell you exactly where he was. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He was 10. No, yeah, 10.
Oh, on your 10. Okay. So you had him. Well, how did you get him 10?
I had him ahead of Brian, Kelsey, Adrian, and my last pick, which I believe I have the last pick, right?
Okay, so we have 5 selections to go. 3 returning chefs from past seasons, and then 2 remaining chefs from this season. So we have
okay. So I'm entitled to pick one of these other people.
Yes.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna okay, because I thought we were drafting the first 14 and then maybe divvying up, or I don't know how it worked. But that's cool. So I got the next 2, or I got the next 1.
You have the next 2, and there are 5 picks to be had. You have the first 2 here, then I pick 2, and then you have the last pick.
Right. So now, just from a game theory, and I realize I'm not asking you to help your opponent here, but obviously there's limited points available inside of Last Chance Kitchen, right? So,
correct.
So
it's mostly just like it's a bonus,
right? So literally, if they ran the table for 9 weeks in Last Chance Kitchen, there's basically only 9 points available.
Yep.
All right. So that being the case,
but there's not much negative. Like, so for if you're in the real competition, there's possibility that you get -5, but it really is just the Last Chance Kitchen. You're going to be +1 if you move on, and a -1 if you're eliminated. So really, this is just the exclamation point. This is the icing on the cake.
Right.
It is not someone who's going to win. I don't think. I mean, maybe someone goes through Last Chance Kitchen and then gets back into the competition and wins the whole damn thing. But This is just pretty much the icing on the cake here, if you want to go in that direction.
All right. So I have 2 picks. So with the 14th pick, I'm going to take Kevin Sharf.
Yep.
Who did the? By the way, he did the beets, arugula, and ricotta. What's really interesting about that is I think it shows how interesting food is today.
Wait. You can't just destroy Brandon for doing a steak dish with polenta and chimichurri.
But dude, I'm drafting him frigging last. Okay, like this is not an endorsement. This is a game theory play, which is all he has to do is like finish in the middle a couple times, and he's going to be as if it were like he survived 4 rounds of Last Chance Kitchen. So
sorry, I cut you off. I thought you said it was a very interesting dish.
Well, no. So it was interesting in this respect. It was interesting because it was uninteresting that we were gotten to the point that in 2000, like if you saw pickled beets, homemade ricotta, and arugula on a menu 20 years ago, that was some cutting edge shit, right? Like we've gotten to the point where there's so much great food in this country, so many innovative chefs that like beets, ricotta, and arugula. Fabulous combination. Kind of elicits, that old dish again, right? Like, just think how far we've come.
Yep.
From a culinary standpoint, that preparing this is playing it safe. I mean, beets. Nobody liked beets 25 years ago. Nobody. It was borscht. It was what your old grandmother ate. If you were from Eastern Europe. ricotta was something that was, you'd found in a checkered, Italian restaurant. Like combining the arugula was this weird peppery green that a lot of people thought was like lawn trimmings. So it was a very interesting moment to watch somebody coming out of the kitchen with beets, arugula, and ricotta, and everybody, people in the kitchen saying, yeah, that's not a winner. Like, so I thought it's interesting. So look, what I appreciated about Kevin, if I have any hopes, is at the judge's table, he's getting grilled for his dish. He knew exactly where he could have improved it, right? I needed to make the pieces bigger. That would have given it some texture and crunch. I needed a little more acid. So all you can ask from a struggling contestant is, hey, I know what I did wrong. Next week, I'm not going to make that error. So I'm not – as last picks go, this is not a great regret. It's not an endorsement, but that's where I am on Kevin.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't I was actually rooting for him because I felt like being from Iowa, there was a little bit of underdog, small market, like the OKC Thunder, like coming out and trying to take down the Miami Heat with LeBron James in the 2012 finals. It was a really disappointing dish because I think you and I can both agree, if you don't have acid, what do you have on a dish like that? You need to have some acid there. So I actually had him right around here on my big board. And so I think you and I were seeing the same thing with that dish. But you know what? I could totally see him just realizing that he went safe there, and then that's not the strategy going forward, and that it's going to be a learning lesson, like in the same way that Adrian might have had a learning lesson in the first episode. So I think that actually might pay off for you with the Kevin pick. All right, so you took Kevin at 14. Who is your 15?
I'm going to go with Carrie Baird. There are three returning contestants from previous seasons: Brother Luck, Alabama Jim, and Carrie. And I'm taking the one that advanced the farthest in their respective season. And now I don't know. Brother Luck might be a better last chance tactician, but I'm just going to go with Carrie based on that probability. And again, we're getting to the point where there's very limited point value associated with these last four picks, just by virtue of the fact that we're not going to reward Last Chance Kitchen to the extent we do the big board. So, but I'm going to go with Carrie. It'll be fun to see. Got a little fancy toast coming up, and I'm going to go with her.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick there. So you just stole that one from right under me. Carrie, I think we're going to have to cover Last Chance Kitchen because I want to see what she makes. She is so smart with her dishes and things that you don't think were going to work, it works. So I think this is someone that I'm going to want to watch every single week and see what she does. So 16, I'm going with Brother Luck. 17, Jim. He was my number one overall pick when I did this draft with my wife a couple years ago.
Now, what was the reason? And I don't say that skeptically. I'm just curious what was the sort of rationale there. I'm basing that. I thought he was a great personality. I thought the technical fact of he's working at this big dining in the South. I feel like he could have done a lot of dishes, like the volume cooking that is required. Like right off the bat, we have a lot of volume cooking here. In Last Chance Kitchen, that might not be such a huge thing, an advantage. But if I remember correctly, I just thought he was really, really sharp. And he was my number one overall pick a couple years ago. So Alabama Jim is going to be my 17th pick. And then Brother Luck is my 16th pick. And that leaves you with? Caitlin Steiniger, Soggy Biscuit.
She's probably going to win this whole thing.
Right. By the way, a dish I kind of admired. I mean, tomato pie is kind of cool. Do it with a biscuit, and there were just sort of hydration issues there. Just got soggy. But again, and I don't know that she's the least talented chef. It's just again by being in Last Chance Kitchen from a point standpoint, where you leave yourself at a disadvantage in our scoring system, which I think is correct. But that's it.
I kind of knew when she decided to toast the biscuits because it just wasn't working. I was like, oof, like taking out the biscuits and then putting it back on the cobbler. Like that seemed like a big red flag, no pun intended with the dish itself. But that was from the get-go. I was like, ooh, this might not work out so well for Caitlin. But man, that is a tough hand to be dealt because she became a mom before Like, she found out she was pregnant right before she went on an Italian apprenticeship, right? Was that the story?
Yes.
Wow. That's tough. It's a tough call, but this is, obviously she has a family now, and she's got a great cooking show, Cooking with Caitlin, and she's going to have some tough competition there in Last Chance Kitchen. But with the way that our scoring system works, she could get you a bunch of points here.
So that's it. Do you want to review the rosters just for the listeners, and then we can sign off or go through a few observations from episode 1.
Yes, let's run through the rosters, do some final thoughts on episode 1, and then so with the first pick, I took Natalie, then Nene, Justin, Brian, Kelsey, Adrian, Brandon, Brother Luck, and Jim. You, Kevin, you took, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eddie, Pablo, Michelle, David, Eric, Sarah, Kevin, Carrie, and Caitlin.
Sounds about right.
Wow. That was a lot of fun. I love drafting. It seems ridiculous to know that we were so wrong last year, or at least it was so random last year. I feel so confident in my picks, but it's a really good exercise in
humility.
In humility, yes. I am going to be totally made humble by this in a few weeks. So with those rosters set, we're going to the scoring, just for reference, Natalie would have gotten 10, Pablo would have gotten 6 because he was on the quickfire winning team.
Now, are we gonna assign those points?
No, I'm just giving people a taste.
These contestants don't get credit for those first, I guess, because it would have given us an advantage. See, yeah. I priced that in. I was willing to take fewer points because for the long-term thing. You're saying we don't offer points for the first challenge.
No.
Interesting.
That is a huge.
I always defer to you on this. I will defer to you on this. Absolutely.
We didn't do this last year. I just figured the status quo, we'd remain that unless we said otherwise. But
well, you would have had an advantage. So I mean, that's big of you.
Well, you did get Pablo, who would have gotten 6 points. Nene would have gotten 2 points. Justin 3, Kelsey 2, Michelle 2, Brian 2, 0 for Adrian, 5 for David for finishing in the top. Sarah would have gotten 3 because of the quick fire bonus. And then Kevin, because he was in the bottom 3, would have gotten 0. And then Caitlin gets -5. So we will see what happens with Last Chance Kitchen. We'll review that on the next episode. But first, I wanted to, from an episode standpoint, the challenges themselves, we haven't touched on that yet. Just the idea of doing the 2-minute mise en place and then doing the 20-minute dish in teams and then spinning it and saying you're going to go against your team members. I thought that was a nice twist.
Yeah, it's funny. There was some lovely poetic irony in the mise en place quick fire. The team that lost its protein, couldn't use it because they didn't have a knife, ultimately wins the quick fire with a steakless beet carrot and egg dish. So that was interesting to me. Just the serendipity of bad fortune in this show. Again, it happened twice, right? It happened with losing that particular situation. They lost their steak, and then obviously in the elimination challenge with David, as previously discussed, not having his gnocchi and having to settle for soup. So sometimes deprivation. I forget which chef came on and talked about that sometimes deprivation is an advantage in the show. I think it was Joe Sasto. He said, when you're limited, when you're cooking in the woods or something, or they take away everything, that's when you do your best cooking. You don't overthink it. You don't get paralyzed by the burden of options.
Choice paralysis by choice. Choice
paralysis by analysis by but choice, it presents problems. It's always interesting to see contestants more reticent out of the box. We talked about that with Big Brian. What if he says, how different is that challenge if he says, hey, why don't we cook the rabbit without the lid? Like that's an interesting thing. Tom Colicchio was the happiest man in Kentucky. He was eating great food out of the gate. I think one of the big themes of that first episode, and we talked about it before, was just like they cook some. There wasn't like a bomb in anything.
And even the bomb seemed like it was David's bomb of the soup. It turned out to be one of the best dishes.
I wanted to ask you a question. Is Tom Colicchio correct when he says the Kentucky Derby is the fastest 2-minute in sports? Is it actually?
I think it's actually the most fun 2 minutes of sports. Like I think that's the
what about one of those
tagline?
Golden State Warrior like rallies? One of those like crazy 2 minutes when they just go crazy.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Awesome.
There's no like 2 minutes in baseball because nothing is 2 minutes in baseball.
No.
But the 2 minute warning, no, that's not no in football, soccer, maybe
or the
the
come
overtime.
from behind drive. In football, like marching down the field in the last possession. No huddle.
The classic Tom Brady. Yeah.
That would be kind of up there, I guess, if you are a football person, which I am not.
It is, I think, the fastest 2 minutes in sports, which is, it makes sense if that's the tagline. But I've been to Churchill Downs. It is super fun. Like Sarah, I can't believe I didn't pick Sarah. I'm revealing too much. I'm revealing that I have a lot of asset value with Sarah. So anyway, Sarah.
Hey, when's our trade deadline this season?
Ooh, let's discuss that. I mean,
we will discuss that.
We don't have to decide right now, but it has to be later in the season for sure. But being in the infield, I've done it twice in the infield. I have not been in the stands for the Derby, but I was in college in the South. Of course, I was in the infield at the Derby. And I thought it was a really, really strong out of the gate. They're going to do the Churchill Downs episode. And then in the next episode, they did a preview that it's going to be a lot of bourbon. So they're going to go down to Maker's Mark, which is, if anyone has not been to the Maker's Mark distillery, it is beautiful. It is quaint South. It is fantastic. I have actually had a bottle of my own hand-dipped Maker's Mark. I did the red wax, Kevin. It was so satisfying. One of the most pleasurable things I've ever done in my life is dipping the bottle into the red wax and watching it just solidify there in my hand. So if you haven't been to the Maker's Mark distillery there, it's a beautiful drive, a hilly drive, but it is so cool. So but I liked all the pink. Kevin, I am the owner of 2 Nantucket Red /pink pants.
Yes, you are.
So I'm a little preppy
Tom,
there.
you rock pastels in beautiful ways, I have to say.
Yes. So I appreciated the theme of doing the Derby party. I really liked the Win Place or Show aspect to the episode. However, Win Place or Show, what that means is if you bet on a horse to win, you're going to get the payout. When you have a bet on a horse and they come in second, that means they placed or they're 1 or 2. And if you bet a horse to show, Win Place or Show, that means the horse is going to be 1, 2, or 3, and then you're in the money. So if you bet a horse to win, obviously those are longer odds because that's, you can't be in the money for if they finish second. But in this instance, showing was not good. Showing was you're going to be in the bottom, and I get that it was.
Well, they took some creative liberties.
Yeah. So that's what it is. If you go to the horse race, if you go to the Derby or Gulfstream there in South Florida, where we both used to live, and you bet a horse to show, that means you're betting that they're going to finish at least third. 1, 2, or 3, and you're going to be in the money. So I really liked that. I thought it was pretty cool that they found out while they're cooking, so they get to see the results as they're cooking, and I thought that added an element of drama. But I always love the people in the crowd, Kevin, that are cheering when you finished in last. Like I love the people. What do you do?
Awkward,
like it was like, and finished last place, and you're going to be on the chopping block is Caitlin, and then there's just like light clapping and then some screaming in the background. I'm like, what do you do in that instance if you're in the audience?
So Tom, we will look forward to episode 2. I look forward to hearing your trade proposals over the course of the week. You can send them to my.
You can send them to me as well, Kevin. I mean, there might be some people that you want on your team as well. So don't be afraid to send me. This isn't just a one-way street.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will take this into consideration. I mean, you have some contestants I very much like. So that is it for Pack Your Knives. For Tom Haberstroh, Kevin Arnovitz, we have our fantasy draft rosters in place, and we are stoked for season 16.
We are up and running. Thanks, everybody.